I rise to speak, take a short call on part 5, just with respect to the comments with which the Minister concluded his contribution just now. I don't wish to traverse this unnecessarily, but yes, it did cause disruption to those Historic Places Trust branches who saw themselves going out of existence. Of course, their commitment remains, and if that commitment can be similarly expressed under these new provisions, then this governance shift will have succeeded. However, it will depend on resourcing, and the people in my local area in Nelson were as concerned about this as any Historic Places Trust branch, and so it will come down to resourcing. And while we think the governance structures and processes in this bill are okay, and we are supporting them, we would like also to have on the record a residual concern about the resourcing of those that commitment that has caused the Historic Places Trust branches to exist in the first place. But, Mr. Chairman, what I really wanted to do was, in talking to part 5, I wanted to focus on the first part of part 5 of the bill, which is around the offence provisions. So this is the offences and penalties and the provisions around those offences and penalties in the bill. Mr. Chairman, in trying to establish exactly what was an offence, the original draft of the legislation had an offence of harming land subject to a heritage covenant, or an offence of harming an archaeological site. In the course of the deliberation in the Select Committee, that word harming was altered to be modifying or destroying. Modifying or destroying in clause 83, land subject to heritage covenant, or modifying or destroying, in the case of clause 84, an archaeological site. Now, this is really important. We get to this pointy end of the offences, and I think we can all understand we can all understand that feeling that we have when things that are important to us are desecrated in some way, whether it's an Anzac memorial that is graffitied, or whether it is a sign that represents the memory of somebody that has been taken down or destroyed. We can sympathise across our ethnic divides. We can sympathise with that sense of outrage and that sense of offence, deep, profound offence, when such a thing is done. And so this piece of legislation, which is modernising our heritage legislation, makes it very clear that every person commits an offence in respect of a historic place or historic area that is protected by a heritage covenant if the person knows that it's protected by a heritage covenant, if they breach the terms of that heritage covenant, if they intentionally modify or destroy the place. And as punishment for that offence, in the case of a natural person, that is an individual, the fine is $150,000. In the case of a person other than a natural person, and to put that in English, a person in this context also means the Crown or a corporation or a body of persons, a body of people, whether they are a corporate or not, whether they are an incorporated society or not, that they would be fined up to $300,000. These are sufficiently hefty sums for the importance of the protection of these heritage covenants in this instance, Mr.
The
Chairman.
Honourable Marianne Street.
Thank you very much. For this not to be taken lightly. Similarly, the offence of modifying or destroying an archaeological site. Again, if somebody knows it's an archaeological site, or they modifies or destroys it, or causes it to be modified or destroyed, then they are up for a similar amount in the case of destruction of $150,000 for an individual and $300,000 in the case of a person other than a natural person. And so it may be that the felling of the tree on One Tree Hill could be considered in this regard. But similarly, I'm making the point that it's not just matters of interest to Māori, but it is all historic places and areas. Also, we've gone to great lengths in Clause 89 to consider other offences, whether it's taking an animal or a vehicle onto land that is under the control of Heritage New Zealand, Pouhere, Taonga, whether somebody lights a fire on it, whether somebody unlawfully alters, obliterates, defaces, pulls up, removes or destroys any boundary mark, plaque or sign. We have gone to some lengths to describe those offences that would be susceptible to punishment under these provisions. They are right and proper, Mr. Chairman, and we have no hesitation in supporting Part 5. Thank you.
Grant Robertson.
Brief contribution, Mr. Chair, because as the Minister and Marion Street have both noted, this clause does do something quite